Whoa, that's a pretty close up. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
what is up? Welcome to the Think Big podcast. Today we have Marlon, we have myself, Alejandro, we have Daryl. If you are an entrepreneur or seeking to become an entrepreneur, you feel like you don't have the accountability, you feel like you're lost, you feel like you just don't know where to start, if you don't know where to get leads or talk to, like, this is the place for you. If you feel lost, period, and you want some direction, some guidance, we are here for you. We're here to show you everything we know. Obviously, we're still entrepreneurs and we're still learning as we go. And, just want to share our success so far with you guys. So here we are, Mr. Marlon. Daryl, how are you guys doing today? Where's this color coming from?
Bro, I'm doing fantastic, bro. It's another day to be great. Every day we wake up, I think a lot of times we forget about just being grateful for the little things. The fact that there's lights on in the house, there's hot water, there's food. We can walk, or like we got feet. There's a lot of people who don't have those luxuries. So
Yeah,
every day is a wonderful day, brother.
Fact.
absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like every day is there's always something positive to look for in each day. So, what I mean? Like I'm grateful to be here, grateful to what is this episode 32? 32 episodes of
Damn.
this, yo.
Man, that's something. If you don't mind, Daryl, talking about like gratitude, I do about 3 sessions of gratitude every day. And to people that can be like, oh man, that's a lot. Really, it's not. And the reason why it's three is because I do one in the morning for by myself. I do one with my family. It's a family group, and then I do one with my partner as well before bed. So one in the morning, one with my family, and one with my partner. And all of it's different. All of them are complete different gratitudes because whenever I share my gratitudes, I wanted to also feel like it's relatable to them as well, even though it's coming from me. And something I learned from the what is it, The Secret Magic? You read that book, Marlon? Didn't we speak about that book before? The Magic.
Yeah, man. I was reading that last year while I was down in Dallas.
Yeah, that book teaches you how to like properly say gratitude. And I'm not saying there's a wrong or right way, but there's a better way to do it, per se. 'Cause some people they will be like, "Oh, I'm grateful for my legs. I'm grateful for my eyes. I'm grateful for this." And but if you add more context to it, like why you're grateful for it, it actually you start to feel the emotions behind what you're saying. And I don't know if a lot of you guys are watching, don't believe in laws of attraction. I'm a huge laws of attraction guy. I believe in that, quote heartedly. But if you say, "Hey, I'm grateful for my eyes because there's people out there that are blind and never got to enjoy how beautiful this world is," you start to think a lot more. It makes you think a little bit deeper, like, wow, I really am grateful. Like I wake up in the morning, bro, and I just sit in my patio and and I beat the sun up and I beat the sun down. That's like my whole motive throughout the day. I wake up before the sun goes up and I go to bed before the sun goes down. Fortunately, fortunately, during the Think Big podcast, I go to bed when the sun is down. So it beats me there. But this is something that I'm passionate about and doing and sharing with you guys. Because there's people that message us and saying, "Hey, thank you for sharing that. Really helped me understand some things. It's helping me change my life." You guys will be surprised. Like Daryl Marley, we sometimes we say things and it's just like we don't think about it, but there's someone that just heard that specific sentence that you just said. That's all they needed to hear for them to get to the next level.
Facts.
Yeah. So what do you guys feel about that? Like as far as gratitude, what about you, Marlon? I know you're big in gratitude, bro.
Yeah, man. Nah, I'm big on gratitude. I have a daily practice. Like if I pull out this notebook right here, so I got a notebook that I keep a couple notebooks, right? But this notebook right here for basically since I go back to 11/28/2022 is when I started writing in this one. So last November, I started writing every day what I'm grateful for, and every day there's just I go through this, and it's 10 things at minimum that I'm grateful for. And no matter what, I don't miss a day. I think maybe I've missed 2 days in total. And those are days where something maybe came up. I just absolutely forgot about it. Then the next morning, just jumping right back into it because it's a good way to start the day. It's a good way to reframe the day. And I gotta say, like, even on the days, there are some days where like I'm writing down what I'm grateful for, and I'm feeling the gratitude. And there are some days where I got to be honest, yeah, like I don't feel the gratitude, but I still go through the practice of writing it out. And, it's good. It's a seed planting day because it comes apart as one of my principles, which is the law of sowing and reaping, that you don't get to harvest anything in the fall if you didn't plant in the spring, or other way around. You don't get to harvest anything in the spring if you don't plant in the fall.
Love that. Why specifically 10, Marlon? Do you mind sharing that?
There's no specific reason to the number 10, quite frankly, at least not for me. Like, I don't know if there's a greater reason to it. That was the number I picked, and I just stuck with it. Is like, hey, each day I'm just going to write 10 things down and figure out what it is like I'm grateful for. And I do my best to try and think of things that, one, I already have, and I think of things that are not yet in my possession, right? I start to give thanks for things that I already know. Basically, I put the order in and they're on their way. I think that's a big practice with gratitude, is also remembering to be grateful for, once you put it out there, once you put that desire out there, once you kind of state what it is that you want out of life, to know that life has received that order and it is on its way. And actually I want to say something on note to what you said earlier about, like, sometimes you say something and it clicks with people. I had this experience the other day, 2 days ago on Sunday. I was over at Pace's house. He was doing a bit of a pool party. And so I just landed from my plane in Denver, got home. I was actually about to pass out. I was just pretty tired. My body was wrecked from the weekend. And Caroline and May messaged me and say, hey, are you coming out to the party? And I was like, oh, I do like pool parties. I can't lie. So I get into the car, head over there, and, there's about 250 people at the house. And that's cool. But when you're also kind of tired, it's like I was kind of wanting a little bit more of a low key kind of situation. But with Pace, things aren't ever low key. Like, the guy, he knows how to throw a party. He knows how to show out. So the sub 2 community shows up. And it was cool. I'm seeing some familiar faces. And I'm also seeing people who, quite frankly, I don't know yet because we've never met in person. We've been on Zooms together. Typically, it's Zooms that I'm leading. And so, when I'm leading these Zooms, and you guys know this, sometimes there's 100, 120, 150 people in the Zoom. Not everybody has their camera on. The few people that do have their camera on, there's only but so much engagement that you get as a back and forth conversation. So a lot of people are coming up to me and, they already know who I am, but I don't necessarily know who they are yet. And one person comes over to me and we start talking, and he proceeds to, maybe about 30 minutes later, tells me that, like, hey, just so you know, you and I actually met already. I'm like, oh man, like I'm feeling kind of bad. Like, I didn't quite remember this dude, just being honest. But as he starts to remind me of where we met, he said, it was at the movie premiere. He said what was happening was it was the end of the night and you were on your way out, and I really wanted to talk to you. So I stopped you on your way out and I started talking to you. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, I remember you. You had a full beard. So when I saw him this Sunday, he is shaved. But when I met him, he had this full, thick beard. Super cool guy. And we had a very brief conversation, maybe a 2-minute convo. And he said to me, and quite frankly, I don't remember exactly what I said to him. I just remembered I gave him some advice based on where he was at. He was going through a tough time. And I gave him some advice. And this Sunday, he told me, he said, listen, man, thank you. Those words that you gave to me on your way out, said that I needed those words. Like, that turned everything around. Like, we're working on a $2 million deal right now. I've got deals in the pipeline. Like, the business has traction now. It's up and going. And he gives credit to that night. Like, I didn't, to me, it was a moment in passing. He gives credit to that night. And I thought that was pretty cool because I know I have the same sort of stories with other people where I have moments that I'm sure they will never remember. It was probably insignificant moments to them, but it was moments to me that were pivotal, So
yeah,
that came up to my mind when you said what you said at the beginning.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, bro. I also think, I don't have a specific reason why I write as many gratitudes. It's probably in total about nine because I do 3 individually. And I think some of it we may not realize it, but having more positive things to talk about more than negative can help you just go through that day when you're having a bad day. That could be another reason too. What about you, Daryl?
Now I agree. I think just gratitude and perspective is everything, right? Like whatever perspective you like to, and whatever frame you look at, and anything, you could always make it positive. There's always you can always turn something into a positive, no matter how bad it is. You can turn it into a positive. That's what I like to do. A lot of times, I like to see a glass half full. So, like, even when things are going like terribly wrong, I just search for the one good thing that I'm probably learning in this situation. I was telling a story to Marlon about this the other day. It was crazy because the other day when I woke up, I prayed, I asked God for wisdom, right? And instantly, about like 20 minutes later, things just start, flames just start occurring. Like everything is going wrong. I'm getting like call after call after call. Something is going wrong. And at first, I was thinking, I'm like, what the heck? Like, why is this happening to me? And then I'm like, you dummy, you literally just asked God for wisdom. How else are you supposed to learn? You have to go through this stuff so you can learn, right? And then as soon as that happened, I'm like, oh wow. And I just started to get extremely grateful for the opportunities, for the fact that God is listening to me. And I'm like, wow, like a lot of other people could have took this and could have ruined their blessing because they would have been thinking like, why me? Rather than what is this supposed to be teaching me, and becoming grateful for the challenges. Right. And I tell my team all the time, because we actually start our mornings off, like our team huddle, we started off with gratitude. So I do about 2 gratitudes a day. And then whenever like something goes wrong or like gets me mad or upset, then I'll try to search for gratitude, because like I told my team, it's impossible to be upset and grateful at the same time. I think they talk about that in The Secret. It's impossible to be upset, mad, sad, angry, and grateful at the same time.
You know that's interesting, man. I know we're all entrepreneurs. I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, there was at least 5 people total coming reaching out to me with like negativities. Just consistently, bro. Just consistently. And I felt the emotion of, damn, this is what the heck is wrong with these people? What's going on? Why am I going through this? But my action was different. My action was completely different. And all of a sudden I got a smile on my face. I'm like, oh, this is fucking dope. I'm learning a lot of stuff right now, because like we all play video games back in the days. You play Mario, Marlon, you play Mario, Daryl, you play Mario.
For sure.
Every level gets harder, and you fall the little gap they have when you jump into the next level. You may fall in the fire, and you just keep going because you get that dopamine of winning every single time to get to the next level. So it's like it's kind of like it reflects on how I look at things whenever I have a lot of bad stuff going on. I'm like, oh, this is a learning experience on what to do next time. So this time, if I fall or I get hit, when I come back, I know exactly what to do to continue moving forward in a positive way. But I was smiling when all these people were coming in with negativities, and when I pick up the phone and call each individual, like after, like, I was just calling people, all the individuals that had something negative. I called them like, hey, what's going on? What is the problem you're going through?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, this and this and this and this and this and this and that. And obviously I had the conversation, and towards the end, like, man, thank you for this call.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it's big, like it's a choice, it's perspective. And this is something I gotta say, like, even like shout out to you, Alejandro, right? Because
you see that,
earlier
Daryl?
today,
Yo, what the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marlon, look at the views.
Yeah, no, I see it.
What you do, dog?
Yo, but like real talk, like something that's interesting is the perspective, right? Like, and this was like a conversation even before we jumped on here. Like in our group chat, I was telling you guys, like, yo, today it was like from the start of the day all the way up until now, it's been a weird headspace, right? Like I told you guys, I was like, yo, I'm in a funky headspace. And Alejandro said, like, yo, with all due respect, man the fuck up. Like, really, like, he was like, yo, real talk. He was like, bro, like, you still got to get things done. Like, what you're feeling right now doesn't excuse you from your responsibilities. And that's a part of that perspective of really entrepreneurship, is taking things on. And saying, all right, I'm going to show up anyway. I'm going to get things done anyway. I'm going to flip the switch and realize, all right, what can I learn from this moment? How can I grow in this moment? And I'm curious for y'all, right? Like when you catch yourselves in those moments of maybe you're not energetically feeling like the way you want to feel, what do you do? Right. I'm interested to know because I think a lot of people experience this in their journey when they know what they want to do. They know they want to step into business. They know they want to step into real estate. They know they want to create content on social media. They have an idea of the things that they want to do. And yet when it comes time to do these things, maybe if it's even working out or making the calls or whatever, when it comes time to actually take the action, they don't actually feel like it. Right? Like, does that still happen to y'all? Do y'all get to those moments where it's time to take action and you don't feel like it? What are you doing in those moments? And like, I'm being like, genuine. Like, I want to know, like, what are y'all doing? So Alejandro, you got your hand up, bro.
Bro, that happens to me every single day. There's not a day that goes by and I'm doing something that I do not want to do at all. And honestly, I enjoy that feeling. It tells me that I have more room to improve throughout that day. It's crazy. I had this conversation with my business partner the other day, and I was telling him, like, he was telling me something about like raising capital and all this stuff and something about lawsuits. And I'm like, bro, I can't wait till I get sued. He looked at me like, bro, what? Like, I don't want to be part of that. I'm like, well, you shouldn't be in business. If you want to be part of a lawsuit, you shouldn't be in business. It's inevitable. Some people are going to feel some type of way about you and they're going to come after you and they're going to sue you and they're going to try and take everything from you. You have to be prepared for that. And I can't wait till somebody tries me to do that because I want to go through that. So that reflects on everything I go throughout the day. When I don't feel like doing something, I enjoy that moment, even though my emotion says otherwise. My action is completely opposite. Like, yo, don't do this. But I'm smiling. It's almost like picture two different people. My current emotions, which are defined through everything I've been through in life, which is being lazy. I don't want to freaking curse up and down, but being lazy, being around people that are making $2,000 a month. So whenever there's something that needs to be done and it's hard, my experience throughout the life, that emotion is already registered, and I'm fighting with my new version that I'm trying to continue improve, and it's just there. So I'm just smiling even though I don't want to do something. It's a really weird situation to explain, but if you guys just look at two individuals, and you have this person that doesn't want to do this and you have this person that wants to do this, if your action is from this person right here that wants to take action, then it's just all smiles from there. I'm just pushing. So every time I feel like someone telling me don't do this, I do it. Bro, there's times I go to the gym and for the whole hour, I am not feeling it, bro. I am not feeling it. But I'm telling you, the last 10 minutes and when I go upstairs and I dominate, bro, I feel freaking amazing. And that next day is just nothing but smooth. Like I had like on Friday and Saturday, like everything went wrong. Anything that could have went wrong. And that Sunday, I was just I had the most productive day because I woke up with the right mindset. I woke up like, ooh, that was great. Friday and Saturday, that was great. And then that Sunday was so weird, bro. Like I think I raised maybe $320,000. And I just raised the last 60,000 about an hour ago within that one weekend. And those are like the things like I didn't want to do, but I did it anyways because I knew it was necessary for me to continue to acquire more real estate.
No, and it makes sense, right? Like it's leaning into that discipline. What about you, Daryl? Like when you catch yourself in that space, right? Like where it's like you know what you need to do, but you don't necessarily feel like doing it. Like what do those days look like for you?
So I've been working a lot on and just getting really a lot better at listening to the voices inside. Like I like to label the two different voices, like I'll just call them the devil voice and God is talking inside of me, right? And I feel like when I am in one mindset where like I really don't want to do this, and I get thoughts like I don't want to do something, and I know that those thoughts, that those things that I need to do, those actions I need to do, are what is going to put me on the path of where I'm looking to accomplish. I think that's the devil holding me back, trying to hold me back, right? So the first thing I try to do is try to be extremely conscious and listen, like, who is this talking to me right now? Is this God or is this the devil telling me to do this? Right. And once I can determine, okay, this is the devil. They don't want me to be great. So I'm not gonna do that. Right. I'm gonna do the opposite. I'm gonna do what is more godlike. And just honestly just being around having really good accountability partners that want to see you win, right? Have a good sounding board who are willing to call you out. Like Alejandro called us out today, right? Like if you don't have friends that are going to call you out, they're not really friends, right? If your friends are too afraid to call you out, I wouldn't even call them your friends. So I would say having good accountability partners and being able to listen to your gut, your intuition, and to determine like what is this thought? Is this thought me or is this thought somebody else?
Yeah, you know, and like I hear you guys on that, like, and I agree with y'all. And at the same time, something I've been experimenting with in my life and in my world, because it's something I've been talking about and like I've been teaching, which is get into alignment. Right. I've been talking a lot about getting into alignment. Like Alejandro, you know, I've had these conversations about, you know, protecting your energy and paying attention to your vibrations, paying attention to the people you're spending time with. And what I'm finding is when I'm starting to get out of alignment, I have been using that as an opportunity to stop, pause, reflect, and take control of life, take control of the situation instead of reacting, taking time to respond. You know, and like if I'm being honest, right? Like today, guys, like I woke up you know, around 5 o'clock and like I was feeling off. And even like just took a look at my Whoop, and my Whoop was like, bro, your recovery is trash right now. Like it is just like your sleep was trash. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna go back to sleep because I want to be productive. I want to be able to actually, I've had these sort of days where like I will force myself out of bed, but then I'm just going through the motion. So I went back to sleep. And when I got up, I went out and proceeded to just lean on discipline to go do the run. I didn't want to do the run, but I did the run 6 miles and from the first step until the final step. I'm not kidding when I say, Alejandro, I didn't want to be there. I was like, yo, this is miserable. Like the entire time I'm running, I'm literally like every step I'm fighting that voice in my head that's telling me to stop. Every step I was like, yo, what is going on today? Like, you know better than this. And yet that feeling wasn't going away. And then coming back home and jumping into work and same thing. It's just like, yo, everything was off to the point where I was like, you know what? I gotta pull back. I actually put my phone on airplane mode. And I'm being so serious with this, Alejandro. I went to the movies. I went and watched Spider-Man by myself. The straight up, like I got into the car, like finished up. I had 3 meetings that I took care of this morning, right? Like one new deal coming in, setting up for the mastermind. Shout out to Ingrid. You know, we sat down and we started to map out plans for the mastermind, and then jumping on with my assistant, figuring out what needed to be done today, just getting things in alignment. But then once everything was good, I was like, I gotta unplug right now because my mind, it wasn't in alignment. And I realized like, yo, my job right now is to get back in alignment. My job right now, because when I'm in alignment, people rely on me. People rely on me to perform. People rely on me to solve problems. People rely on me to come up with ideas, to be ready, to be able to pour into them. And from that place I was at, I was like, yo, I can't pour into anybody right now. Like I'm not pouring this energy into anything right now. This is poison I'm pouring out right now. I got to go get filled up. So like, I'm wondering like, what's your take on getting back into alignment versus pushing through? Like, is there a balance? Is there a point where it's like, hey, doing more is actually doing less right now? Or like, what's your take on that? Yo, you're muted, by the way, bro.
Thank you. Bro, I was freaking laughing when you said you went to the movies because that sounds like some shit I would do. I'm not even joking. I would go to the movies, man. I would legit go to the movies. But that's a really good question. So you're asking me like, what would you do instead of just going through the whole pain, and like what's the balance to put yourself together is what you're saying.
Pretty much. Like when's
What are
that
those
point
steps?
where when's that point where it's like, hey, you're uncomfortable, push through it, or hey, you're out of alignment, get your energy right before it's kind of like coming home and like, it's like, do you sit there with your wife or your girl like pissed off, or do you go do what you need to do to get right so you come home and you can be present.
Man, this is going to sound really weird because I don't know the exact scientific way to explain it. There's two things. The first thing, if I feel really shitty the day prior, what I do, I wake up in the morning, and this is what I got from the 5 a.m. club, which is the BDNF, which stands for brain derived neurotrophic factor or something like that. It's like when you wake up, the first thing you do when you wake up, if you start sweating, if you start exercising, it sends messages to your brain. Those cells that sends messages to your brain that you have fear of something, it lessen that. It makes that less when the first thing you're doing, you're just sweating, just going at it. It makes you feel like you're on top of the world. Like, so like there's nothing else that can stop you. So that's the first thing that I do is I get up and I do something really hard. Like like on my Instagram story, bro, you see I was freaking doing cycling at 4:00 in the morning. I didn't want to do that. I'd rather just drink my coffee, read a book and whatever. But I was just cycling until I sweat to get that whole energy back. I want that energy of being on top of the world, being the king, making sure you're dominated. That's the first thing I do. So that's like something scientifically that 5 a.m. club can help you find. And then what else I was going to say? There was something something else I can give you tips on.
Right. So essentially you'll go and you'll do something challenging to get yourself back on point.
Yeah. Challenge. You do something challenging to get me back on point. And then the other one is where, bro, I just had it. I was just thinking about it.
But I agree with you, right? Because like that's normally like in the morning time, like that's what my run normally does. Like my runs in the morning normally get me balanced, and like usually by the time I'm finished with the run, right by the time I'm finished with the workout, I'm snapped back in. And today, it wasn't the key today.
Yeah. So this is the one I had. I read this from a monk book. Mm-hmm. It's like imagine if you had the power to switch happiness instantly. What would that do for you? Would you say that will probably change everything, how your day went, Marlon?
If I had the power to switch,
like if you had the power to just switch, ooh, I'm having a great day. Like if you had the power to just snap your finger and you're at it. Like, do you feel like that's possible?
My mind says, well, we do have that ability. I still think there'd still be a transition.
So for me, listening to that monk book, it's like even something as small as smirking or just a smile, it sends a message to your brain that you're happy. And I don't know if the happiness is what I want to define it as, but it's just a battle. It's an internal battle that we have consistently when we have these negative thoughts. Bro, I have those days where it's like, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel weird? Why do I feel off? What's going on? So it's just more of an internal battle on how to avoid that emotion and focus on the positive emotion. So I've been doing that for the past 3 years. And honestly, that really does help me. Mm-hmm. It's something that you have to practice consistently. And with meditation, I really have great self-awareness. I can understand when my thoughts are trying to play tricks on me. So when I identify that, I'm like, oh, okay, I have to fight a little bit more to get these thoughts out of my mind so I can continue going where I need to be. And sometimes it will come back like 30 minutes later, it'll come back and I fight it again and I fight it again. It's just internal battles. The only thing we have power over is how we react towards those emotions. And once you understand that, because everything we do in life is a choice. Like my business partner, he was feeling down, he has a headache. And I'm like, man, like he was crazy. He was like, ooh, he was screaming yesterday, going crazy. And then today it was like completely down. I'm like, bro, what's up? It's like, man, I have a headache. I'm like, but can you jump up and down and scream like yesterday? Yeah, I can, but it's going to hurt my head. But you still can though, right? He was like, yeah. So it's a choice for you to move like that all down. That's your choice. You reacted to that. You let those emotions make you react that way. So for me, I just react differently when the emotions are negative. I react to it in a positive way. And that's what helps me personally. And that's something I've been doing for the past 3 years.
I like that. So it's essentially for you, it's a choice, right? Like and I think not even just for you, it's for everybody. right? Because
Yeah.
I agree with you, right? Like choosing how you respond to how you feel is always going to be something inside of an individual's choice.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we're having this conversation because again, like this is something that people are going to go through, like on this business on journey. Like I think sometimes people think once you reach any bit of success, right, like you start earning money, it means that you no longer have these sort of days, that you don't have the day where your energy is off, where you don't feel like doing it. Like no, those days still come. Those
Yeah.
days, like Alejandro just said, it's a choice on what you're going to do with that day.
Yeah. Agreed, bro. Even with employees right now. Listen, man, like, bro, I have days in my life where I slept on the floor because I just didn't have a bed to sleep on. And I know what that feels like. I've had days where the only thing in my fridge was a slice of bread. Like I had those days. So whenever, yeah, sure, I'm having decent financial steady income, but what are my actions? What are my actions going to give me in results for my employees? Because they have to provide for their family. They have goals too. So it's my job to continue doing those action. And your emotions are going to say, well, but man, come on, like you're working hard, like relax, like it's okay. And those are the same thoughts. If you agree with those thoughts and your action is like, okay, relax, there's something that you've missed that could have helped your employees in a much bigger way. So
And
that's just how I look at things, and that's just what worked for me personally.
no, I like that. And Abe just asked a pretty interesting question. He says, "Do you think you'll have those days even if you're clear on your goals?" And
Absolutely.
it's interesting. I agree with Alejandro that you'll still have those days even if you're clear on your goals. However, what I do find for myself, and this is just me being honest, like I'm going to kind of share with y'all my methodology when I'm in those days. Typically, what it's telling me I need to do is I need to revisit my map, and I need to check to make sure I'm still in alignment. And typically, the process for me, the process of revisiting the map, the process of revisiting my goals, the process of revisiting my why is what will start to pull me out of that space. It'll start to get me back into the feeling that I enjoyed, that I prefer to be in. It's like, and if I'm just being honest with you, like that's what it does. Like, so I'll have clarity, but still can get into that place, that mental funk is like, I think most people, what we refer to it as, but revisiting it, pulling back out the book, pulling out the notepad and sitting down and rewriting it. And in the past, I used to bypass that. I used to just say, kind of suck it up and keep going.
Yeah.
But I realized, like internally, I've learned. Daryl said it earlier. Listening to intuition. I've been learning to listen to intuition more and more. In fact, did y'all watch the movie Air? The new one that just came out on Amazon with Jordan.
Yep.
On Jordan's story. So
Yep.
I mean, and I'm curious to know what y'all took away from it, because I actually sat down last night and watched it while I was eating some dinner, and the takeaway that I had when I was looking at it was this idea that what made Sonny so successful with the getting Jordan into Nike? He was listening to his instinct. He was listening to his intuition, right? He was learning to trust that feeling and revisit that feeling and familiarize himself with that feeling. And that's something I think we don't talk about as often, right? Like when I sign up for a boot camp or a mentorship or a program, they're teaching me tactics. But very few people, some of my best mentors in private settings and private dinners, have told me to trust my gut. But like no one else, I don't really ever hear anyone else talking about it. And yet it's what I'm choosing to do with my journey. Like I'm choosing to test the hypothesis of trusting your gut. Because when I pick up these books and I read these books, that's the message I've been getting. So I'm curious, like for y'all, like how much of it also comes into play with like, what's your thought on like essentially learning to fine tune your instincts and your gut?
Daryl, what you got?
I think it's exactly what you're saying, Marlon. Like me personally, that's how I am. I'm the type to where like you're gonna tell me something, I'm still gonna touch that stove to see if it's hot, even though you tell me that it's hot. I'm still gonna to touch it, to find out myself, which isn't probably the best. But when you learn from your own mistakes, it's going to take you a lot further. You can go a lot faster listening to other people's mistakes. And like if you're listening to us right now, telling you that hey, we've been through it, this is the route to go.
Yeah.
You listen to us, it's going to work, right? But if you're one of those people who hadn't need to find out for yourself, then I agree with what Marlon's saying. Like sometimes you need to take a couple losses from not listening to your intuition for you to know that that's actually your intuition that's telling you something, right? Like if you know, okay, there's a voice telling me not to do something, I go ahead and do it anyways. Maybe I should listen to that voice from here on out because I just didn't listen to it and I just went down the wrong path. Right. So like that's how I was, you know what I'm saying? Not the same exact way. So like, and I'm like, that's why I said earlier, like I'm learning and getting better at trusting my intuition because there's times where it's like, yo, I know that this is the right thing to do, but I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to go this route.
Mm-hmm.
And I go that route anyways. And it may work out. Most times it doesn't work out.
You know what's crazy? I want real quick, Marlon, before I wanted to add something real quick. There's times where I actually let that inner voice beat me in a way so I can remind myself why I shouldn't be doing that. It's a weird way. Like prime example, like just being on Instagram for an hour. I don't want to do it. But sometimes I do sit there, like maybe like on Sunday or something, I sit there and I do it. And then I get that after feeling like that's bullshit. I'm not doing that. That feeling like it's incorrect because you always have that feeling like, oh, let me check my Instagram. And then once you do it, it's that new reminder again of why you stopped doing it anyways in the first place. Yeah.
So I'm curious to know for y'all, and this is, I think, a question that people are going to start to have. When we're talking about like your instincts, your intuition, that little quiet, subtle voice, what do you do, each of you? And I'm curious to see if there's different methodology to be able to hear that voice more often.
Which voice are you referring to? I just want to make sure I'm clear. I'm clear.
I'm talking more like the positive. I'm talking more like your gut instinct. Like when I say intuition, I'm talking gut instinct. I'm talking that feeling that you get when it's telling you do this and it's a positive do this, but it's something that you don't logically know. Like you couldn't explain, Alejandro, to somebody why you're about to do what you're about to do. Like if I'm like, Alejandro, why are you about to do that? You're like, I just got a feeling. That voice.
Because the negatives outweighs the pros, if I said that correctly.
What I want to know is, what are you doing to, like, do you have a methodology of because some people come to me, Alejandro, and they say, yeah, that voice doesn't kick on for me. Right. I don't hear, like, have you ever spoken to someone and they're like, yeah, I try to hear that voice, like that voice of God, that good devil on my shoulder, or the good angel on my shoulder, or like that instinct, like it doesn't come up for me.
I think that's where clarity comes in. When you have clarity of what you need to do and what those steps are, if you know that you have to do a certain thing internally, you know that because you mapped it out, your map, like you stated earlier, Marlon. And if whatever voice tells you to do otherwise, you should know that's not the route you should take. It's the other route. That voice you should be listening to. That's where clarity comes in, because how would you know that you're doing something positive if you don't know what that positive what that outcome, that positive action has, if you get what I'm saying? Like, how would you know to do something positive if you don't know the outcome or the potential outcome?
Facts.
So no, that makes sense to me. Like, and I understand that. I'm asking essentially, have you ever had a feeling to do something and you have no idea why you're getting that feeling to do it?
Okay. Well, okay. Have I ever done something?
I could give you like an example for it.
Example, please do.
Right, like an example here. Maybe about 3 years ago, it's Friday night. I'm sitting in a Barnes and Noble. I'm reading a book. I don't even remember what book I'm reading. And while I'm reading this book, I just hear a little voice in my head, like almost like somebody whispering to me. And the little voice says, "Stand up." So I stand up. I'm like, what the hell is this voice? Like, it's kind of creeping me out, to be honest. So I stand up, and the Barnes and Noble is a 2-story. So it tells me to look over the balcony. So I'm looking over the balcony at everybody in the store. And then it says, go pay for everybody's books.
Oh wow,
Wow.
nice.
I'm nice, bro. I'm broke.
Can you do it?
I'm like, what?
Can you
So-
do
So let's check this out. I start asking the voice, like, wait, do what?
it?
Now the voice is quiet. I'm like, you want me to pay for every? And so now I'm counting the amount of people in the store. And I'm also kind of just like eyeballing, like, that guy's got 4 books. She's got 2 books. That dude's got 7 books in his hands. Like, I'm like, yo, that's a lot of books. That's not a cheap ask. So now I start negotiating with the voice. Could I get like maybe like 1 person's books or like 2 persons? And now the voice is quiet. Like, it's not even talking to me right now. And I'm like, so I hesitate. I hesitate on the demand. And so I sit there with it for a little while, and about 15, 20 minutes go by. And then I'm like, all right, like I got to get up and I got to get out of here. So I take my book to go pay for it. And as I'm doing this, at this point, a majority of the people are gone in the store. There's only a few people left. And as I'm standing online, I'm still kind of like debating with like what was asked of me. And as I proceed to pay for my book, gets online a mom and her son. And so I just turn around and I just go, hey, is it okay if I pay for your books? And the kid's looking at me like, huh? I'm like, this isn't like a trick or anything. Is it all right if I pay for your books? And the mom was like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, all right, thank you. And I buy the kid's book, and the mom begins to tell me, like, he's been begging to come to Barnes & Noble for the last few weeks so he can get this book. Like, you just made his day. And I was, in that moment, I had the realization of, holy crap. Like, one, it felt amazing because I paid for their books and just left, right? Like, didn't really stop and have much of a conversation with them afterwards. Just thank them for letting me pay for it, and I was on my way. And that was the first time I ever really intentionally used my money for other people, for somebody else, like in that sort of way. And the voice didn't come back to me that night, but I started to feel a feeling of regret when I got to my car, because the feeling was so overwhelmingly good when I had paid for that kid's book that I realized I had missed out on an even better feeling had I paid for everybody's books, had I taken care of everybody around me. And I had no clue where, like, I couldn't have told you at that moment in time how to summon up that voice. I couldn't tell you the logical reason why I was being told what to do. Like, it wasn't a logical reason. I didn't have clarity on what that thing was. And yet I now know that feeling of, like, when that gut feeling comes up, when that intuition pops up, no matter what it's telling me to do, I do. I'm just being real. Like, I don't question it. And you might be like, yo, Marlon, what are you doing? I'll be like, I'm just listening to the voice right now. And I don't care how crazy that sounds, because every time I've ever listened to that voice in my life, and it doesn't come around every day. Like, it's not that voice isn't directing my every step. Or at least if it is, I'm not hearing it every time it's speaking. But when I do hear it, I listen. So that's the sort of voice I'm talking about.
Would you say as you get more aware of that voice, it gets louder and easier to identify?
Well, that's what I'm finding now. And that's what I'm curious to know with y'all. Because, like, for me, that's what, like, the whole getting back into alignment has been, and really tapping into the feelings as well. Right? Like, moving towards things that feel better, that feel and resonate with me. That voice has been speaking more often, that I've been able to hear that voice more often. And the things, like, even this past weekend, I think I told you, Daryl, like, I was in Denver. I was there for an event. And later that night, there were 2 meetups happening. There was a sub 2 meetup, and then there was a meetup with these other investors that I was there with. Now, the investors I was there with, they were taking care of dinner. They had this beautiful steak dinner prepared, all expenses paid for, and I'm hungry. Sub 2 meetups at this random place that I got Uber 30 minutes out to, that I'm going to have to buy my own food, everything. And I'm in my room, and for a quick second, I just asked God, I'm like, yo, God, where do you want me? And I just get quiet. And the first thing that comes to me is sub 2 meetup. Cool. I don't know why. I don't know who's going to be there, right? Like, I just sub 2 meetup. So I go out there. When I get out there, there's a sign on the place that says internet's down, only cash. I'm like, I haven't carried cash with me since before the pandemic. I'm starving, I just left a steak dinner to come buy food at a rundown bar, and they don't even take credit cards. So I'm a little like, dang, what the hell, man? Like, I drove 30 minutes to get out here just to not even be able to eat. But then was able to raise some money, raise private capital at the bar. Yep, did that. Raised $54. And I go to the bar, buy some food, and I'm on the outside just eating my burger, and I'm just in alignment. Like, I'm doing what I was told to do by that little voice. Some dude walks over to me. This guy, last name Bear, walks over to me, says, "Yo, what's going on here?" I say, "It's a real estate meetup. This is a real estate investment group. You know, we do this. That guy's speaking. That's my buddy Keston. He does this. I do this." And I go, "Do you invest?" He goes, "Yeah, a little bit." I go, "What do you do?" "I own a wholesale timber company." "Oh, nice. How long you been doing that?" "A little over 30 years here in the Denver market." "Oh, cool. So you've seen this place change?" "Yep." So we have a quick little conversation. I go, "What type of investment do you do?" He says, "I buy apartments. And right now I got cash. I got cash that I need to put to work." He's like, "I give my money to guys like you." Guys, I'm talking like I'm standing there eating a burger. I'm chewing on the burger while I'm having this casual conversation with him, but I'm just going with the flow. I'm in the river of alignment. I'm just trusting the gut. I'm trusting the instinct. I'm not forcing anything. And a private money lender walks up to me and starts a conversation. So I've been leaning more and more and more into get into alignment. And when you're out of alignment, your job as the entrepreneur, your job as the creator, your job as the facilitator of creation is to get back into alignment. Because from that place is where I think we do our best creation. To Alejandro's point, like, that's a part of waking up in the morning and getting the body moving. That's a part of doing the daily gratitude, doing the discipline. And that's why I'm curious to know, like, if y'all are doing anything to increase the appearance of that voice more and more in your life.
I think for me is exactly what you're saying, like just getting in alignment, like being more, for me, it's been being more aware of the thoughts that have been coming into my head. And like, if I don't like the thought, then change it. But if it's something telling me to do something, like I just realized, like, as I get more aligned with my goals and what I feel like what my purpose is, that voice gets a lot more clear. Like, for instance, like I told you guys, and I'm gonna get vulnerable on here. I've been working on stopping, like putting down the weed, right? Stopping smoking weed. And I was the other day, like I was pissed, bro. Like I was just having a bad day. So I'm like, man, let me go to the dispensary. Yeah, I ain't smoked in a few days. Let me go to the dispensary. Went to the dispensary. No lie, as soon as I walked in, I get a voice just saying, "Turn around, leave." Like, and the old me would have been like, man, I'm already here. Like, I'm good. Or I probably wouldn't even have got that voice at all. I wouldn't have got that message at all. But since I've been focusing more and more on being aligned and being the right person and just feeling the right feelings, that voice is becoming a lot more clear. And I heard that voice just saying, like, just leave, turn around and leave. And that's what I did. I just followed, just submit and just follow. There's been other times as well where I've just hear this voice and I just do it. Like I was telling you, Marlon, I locked up a deal that's going to close this month, and I'm looking at it, and I was like, actually, it wasn't even that deal. It was a different deal where I'm making calls, and I'm like, man, I'm about to call it for today. I was getting cursed out on the phones. I'm like, I don't get cursed out on the phones. Like, well, today's just not my day. So I'm like, let me just stop here. So I decided to stop. Then I heard a voice just saying, make another call. So I made another call, ended up getting a really good relationship with the dude. It's a hot lead, ended up locking the dude up the very next day, sub 2 deal. Right. And it's just because I listened to that intuition. So for me, it's just like you were saying, getting aligned with your purpose, living in that purpose, and being aware of the thoughts that are going through your mind on a regular basis.
See, and like the reason like I'm kind of interested to have this conversation is because I almost feel like I have to, because it's like as you learn more, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know, and the more like clarity has to be shone on things. Because to Alejandro's point, like Alejandro's one of my favorite accountability partners because of like his level of discipline, and he helps me stay disciplined. And it's like being disciplined on what? right? And like what I'm being disciplined on starts to, that's what, like, what are we focusing on? And focusing on being in alignment, focusing on staying true to your story, staying true to your race, running your race, getting into your place, and like continuing to move to that place. Because I don't know, I'm curious to know, do y'all think it's possible to achieve your goals while being out of alignment with who you need to be as the person that achieves the goal? Right? Like, and I'll kind of rephrase that in the sense of, if you achieve your goal, who do you become? Do you think it's possible to achieve those goals without first becoming that person?
I don't think so. I think if
It's a
you
really
do,
good question.
my bad, Alejandro, but let me just say, I think
No, you're good. No, I was just thinking.
I think if you do end up, accomplishing that goal and not becoming the person first, you're going to lose it until you become that person that you need to be. Like, you'll get it. Like, God will give you a little taste of it and say, here, this is what you can have, but you need to change. And if you don't change, you're either not going to get the full fruit, or you're going to take a bite and that thing's going to get snatched away from you with the swiftness.
I would say no, bro. You can't. I mean, Marlon, I showed you parts of my past before. I did a complete 180. Like, for those who don't know, I used to do Latin music. Like that beat you guys hear in the beginning of that, I did that. I used to sing over that in Spanish. Like, I did a complete 180, but and music is still a beautiful thing to me. It's just the environment and the energy I was around that needed to be changed. And for me to change that, I needed to change. You know what I'm saying? So like, who am I doing concert at a real estate event? People are like, what are we doing? So I needed to change to accomplish the things I needed to achieve, which is success and financial freedom for my family and I. And I could have done that through music, but the energy just wasn't for me. I felt, I felt somewhat, you can say, depression, and somewhat of just an inconvenience of, why do I have to be stressed all the time in this industry? And I didn't think that was fair for me. I think I deserve to be happy. And when I say happy, happy about what I'm accomplishing and who I am around, not necessarily the feeling and the emotion of happiness. So no, I don't think you can accomplish that by not changing.
Right. And I would agree with you. And it's something that I heard this from Tony Robbins some years ago. He says the greatest failure is to achieve without fulfillment, right? To achieve the goal and still not be fulfilled. And, we know Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins. Okay. Yeah.
And what's interesting is we know somebody inside of our space, and I'm going to say his name because he's already publicly stated this. Like, he's very open about this now. And in fact, this is the message that's coming from him on stages when he's speaking now. We all know Clever Investor, Cody Sperber, right? If anyone's listened to him speak anytime in the last 6 months, you'll hear what he's talking about right now. His exact story is, holy shit, guys, I became the man that learned how to make all the money and lost everything along the way. I lost my wife. At a moment in time, I was losing the respect of my son. My friends, I don't really feel like they're like, a lot of the people that were there were only there for the good times, right? Like, I don't know who I became. Like, I just kind of became this jerk off. He was like, I was a jerk, right? And shout out to him, really, like, seriously, props to him for even having the balls to say that out loud to people, to expose that for another generation of men, because he understands that he's been influencing young men along the way who are looking at him and like, yo, I want the Lamborghini. I want the private jet. I want the hot wife. I want the money. I want the abs. I want all of this. And he's there standing on stage telling you, like, look, I can show you how to make money, but just going after money alone is not going to complete you. And we know this. And please don't hear me say this right now and think that this is a cop-out for you to say, well, that's why I don't go and get money. No, that's being lazy. Go make money. Go make a lot of money. And at the same time, grow your spirit. At the same time, take care of your physical body. Right? Like, if you're going to do the work, do it holistically. Right? the same time, figure things out along the way. At the same times, when you have those bad days, work through it. Don't back off of it. Work through it. Push through the darkness. In fact, one of my best friends, she and I had a conversation about what it was that we're like, yo, how did we become connected? How did we become friends? Like, I love you as a person. You're turned on. Like, what turned your conscious awareness on? And we were like comparing notes. And although we had different experiences, there was one core thing that we realized we shared, and also the same people, other people in our lives who we enjoyed, they shared it as well. Can y'all guess what that thing is?
Was it energy? Perspective?
Not energy. It was experience. It was having gone through a difficult, dark time in our lives. And instead of choosing to run back to where it was once safe and where there was once light, we pushed through the darkness. We actually kept going through the tunnel. And I bet you, Alejandro, I bet you, Daryl, that y'all have gone through those moments yourselves as well. That you've experienced dark moments where you knew how to get back to where you came from, and you could have gone back to where things were stable, but you made up your mind that you were not turning back, that you were going to keep going forward. And I bet the people that you keep in your life now, the people that you allow into your inner circle, also share that. And it could have been from different experiences. It doesn't mean like, hey, I got into a car accident, they got into a car accident, but they had some sort of traumatic experience that they pushed through, that they chose to continue moving forward after it occurred.
Yeah.
So this is something for everybody that's listening to think about. If you haven't had your tough moment, know that when your tough moment comes, it's not here to stay. If you're going through your tough moment right now, like, it's a season. It didn't come here to last. It's not going to last forever. You got to keep pushing through it. Because failure is that regret because you stopped. Failure is I gave up and I never got back in the ring. And I never pushed. And deep down inside, a part of you knew that you could.
Yeah. I think honestly, bro, for me, if you fear the results of quitting more than you love winning, you will always continue going forward. That's me, bro. Because when I'm sitting there and I don't want to do something, and I think about where I was when, my car in the past got repoed, when I was broke, sleeping on my mom's couch and the leather couch, and I woke up sweaty because I didn't have a cover to put on that couch. Holy fuck, bro. Trust me, bro. I keep going. I tell that emotion, well, you better hang on for a second. But this action, it's not going to be based off this current emotion. This action is going to be based off the fear that I have if I acknowledge that emotion and take that specific action. So that's something that's real.
100%. And first off, I'm grateful for y'all to be having this conversation, right? Because, like, I gotta be honest, in the past, I would have not been able to talk about these kind of things. And what I think happens is when we don't talk about it and we don't acknowledge it, we end up sitting in the funk, right? Like, we just kind of stew in it. Versus like when you acknowledge it and you realize, like, yo, I'm just going through, I'm just on a certain part of the road. Like, it happens to be raining on this part of the road. But I'm not at my destination yet. I'm keeping going. I got to keep traveling. Yep. And so, like, I appreciate being able to have this conversation.
Yeah, bro. Anybody that thinks the journey to success is going to be all smooth, you're crazy. Good luck. Good luck with that belief system. There's going to be hurdles that you will just never understand why you in that situation. It's your decision to continue moving forward. And every time I'm in a hurdle and emotionally or physically, wherever I'm at, I feel like something's stopping me, I keep going. As my old friends are like, bro, you're crazy. Like, yeah, I understand.
Yep. But
Yep.
yeah, I'll be a little crazy. And yeah, I wanna answer this question because shout out to Sean. Sean came on earlier and he asked this question, and it's a little kind of off of what we're talking about, but actually it falls in. He says, how does one figure out horizontals to add to a business, and when is it the right time? Right. And this is an interesting question, right? Because you know, I think we're gonna all have different answers, or actually we might have the same answers. Like I know Alejandro, you have a few horizontals to your business. In case anyone's asking too, like or wondering what's a horizontal, this is essentially when your business goes into the marketplace, right? For example, Daryl's business, he goes out and he wholesales properties, and Daryl also might need to dispo the deals, right? So he's gonna build a dispo department, and Daryl might need VAs to call his leads. So he might do like what Alejandro did and build a VA company, right? So anything in his company that's an expense, he starts to tack on and creates it so it's in-house. So essentially it's less money going out as an expenditure, and you're able to keep more dollars in-house. You start to build out the resources that you buy. So when is the right time to do this? Because it's a great business strategy. You see many hot top level businesses do this. Like many of the Fortune 500 companies, this is what they do, right? This is what private equity does for a living. Private equity will literally go and consolidate businesses and do this exact thing. So when's the right time? What's your guys' opinion on that?
Honestly, man, for me, it's just going to be you have to know thyself. You have to know yourself personally and what you're willing to put in. Are you willing to wake up at 3 or 2 o'clock in the morning to work on multiple businesses that's going to help you improve? If you are that person, then honestly, is as soon as you have the time for it, as soon as you create the time for it, is the right time. And when you have, let's say, like if you have your wholesale company and you have some consistent cash flow, start bringing in employees. And if you want to work on some horizontals to bring into your business, like right now, but my next journey right now, I'm going to start a TC company because people are going to always ask, what TC are you using? Okay, well, great. This is another thing I can bring on board because I already have a trained TC in my company that I can go out and start a business. So it's things that you already doing. You're just starting your own company from it, and you can benefit from other people using your service. So it's a little bit different. You just got to know thyself, man. If you don't have the guts to create time and wake up a little bit earlier and go to bed a little bit later, you're probably gonna have to take a little bit more time to get there.
So
Bringing an operator.
Are we talking about vertical businesses or horizontals? Because vertical, that's where we're going to keep everything. Like if I have a fix and flip company, I'm going to get a construction company. You know what I'm saying? If I have a wholesale company, I'm going to get a TC company, so I don't have to, unless I'm wrong. So I don't have to pay those extra costs, right? I can do it in-house and I can provide that service to other people. In my mind, a horizontal is like something to a totally different industry. You know what I mean? So if it's a vertical, I recommend doing that once you get your original business like down pat and operating without you for the most part. If your business is going to operate the same way, if you are in the business for 10 hours, or if you can go on vacation for a week and your business is still going to make the same amount of money, I think it's a great time to add on some verticals. But if not, if your business still needs you, like at all points, if you can't do stuff like this, like go on to a podcast and watch, and your business just like shuts down because you're not in the day to day, then I think you should start working on your business some more and get your business straight first. Get the original business first before you start adding more businesses on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm in
I think
the
that's
boat.
probably where I confused. I went into the vertical, so I probably got a little bit confused there.
Yeah, and I'm always in the boat of like before. I heard the saying. It was Sam. I was talking with Sam Singh, and he was talking with one of his mentors, Kent Clothier, and he says, "Nail it before you scale it."
Yeah.
So like when we start talking about like wanting to scale, we want to start talking about adding on more complexity to our business. it's before you start making things more complex, have you locked in and dialed in what you're already currently doing? And by when I say definition locked in and dialed in, I'm basically asking, have you figured out how to make consistent cash flow come in? Right? Consistent cash flow without your necessary involvement. Have you been able to pull yourself out of the business and the business still operates without you? Because at that point, the machine is now pumping without you having to turn it. You can take your attention and focus on building the next machine. Business is systems. So is your system functioning? If your system's not functioning yet, I think continue to spend time building your business to function, or find the right person to bring into your team who can get your business functioning. Right? If you yourself don't have that skill, if you're like, that's not my superpower, I'm the dreamer, I'm the visionary, I can imagine it and conjure it up in my mind, then just know that you need to go get someone that's going to be the executor on the dream, who can actually bring that manifestation to reality. And it's okay if you can't do it all in one. If anyone knows Andrew Carnegie, that was Andrew Carnegie's superpower. His superpower was finding good men and putting them to work. That was Andrew Carnegie's superpower. It was being able to create amazing masterminds. So love that one. Just shout out to everyone that's hanging out here with us tonight. Kevin, shout out to Kevin, says it's his first time tuning in live with us because something told him to stay here. Right. And it's funny because we were talking about that intuition. We were talking about that gut. Right. So appreciate you for being here, Kevin. Shout out to Josh. Josh said he was glad he got to see us at the meetup. And he said he was also there when the guy walked by me, that private lender. So Josh was actually standing there when that guy came over to me while I was eating my burger, and he got to hear that conversation happen in real time. Right? Guys, the stuff we talk about, it's all real. We learn this stuff through experience. So, and shout out to Maj. Got to see Maj. Maj even let me take a picture with him, yo. I could not believe it. He let me take a picture with him. I'm beyond excited. Yo, appreciate you, bro. And shout out to Alexis Morgan inside here holding it down. What up, Alexis? And what up, Will Ayarza? Yo, the burger was good. So I know we're a little over the hour right now. So I'll let Daryl or Alejandro, one of y'all can bring us in.
Guys, just as always, right? Let's make sure that we don't charge for this. Right, we take time about our businesses to just provide value, right? So if you're not already subscribed to our channels, make sure you subscribe to all of our channels. Follow us on social media. Everybody's Instagrams is posted at below. Follow us on Instagram. Stay locked in with us because we are live every single Tuesday. We don't miss a Tuesday. 32 weeks straight. 32 weeks ago, we decided to make this happen, and we go hard every single week. So you will see consistency from us at all times. We just ask you like the video, subscribe to the channels, and put the reminders on so you know when we go live. And I don't got nothing else for y'all, so I will catch y'all next week.
Peace out, y'all.